So some great news for Palantir shareholders, of which I'm one of them. Palantir recently reported earnings way above expectations, and the CEO, Alex Khoo, made a commitment that the company will be profitable from henceforth. So the share price jumped up pretty significantly on the news. We've got that big gap on that first day, up over 20%. It went as high as 32%. Then it kind of like pulled back a bit yesterday, but it's still up like 27%. If you take a look at the overall trend of the stock, we can see that it looks like it has begun to change trend. Remember, when the 50 moving average crosses above the 150 moving average and they start to slope up, that is a sign of a change in trend. So this could be the start of a new uptrend for Palantir at last. For those of you who have been holding on to this stock, consolidating on a downtrend for the last 2 years or so. Now, of course, having said that, on a short-term perspective, it is a bit overextended and it is coming to a bit of resistance over here, right? So don't be surprised that with a bit of resistance, it may still pull back down, but the overall trend should have changed. Now again, before I continue, let me just say that this is not a recommendation to buy this stock, to sell this stock. This is just my sharing as a shareholder of Palantir, where I see the stock going from here. The other point I want to make is that as a shareholder of Palantir, it is not, to me, a trading stock, right? So I'm not here to trade it, like to buy and sell and buy back. No, I'm here to hold on to it for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So I see this as a very long-term investment for myself. So where it goes in the short term, again, I'm not saying that it's going to go up from here immediately. Again, it could pull back given hitting a resistance that's a bit overextended. And if it does pull back, you know what? I'll add more shares. In fact, what I did was the moment the earnings were released and the moment the share price gapped up, I started buying shares. In fact, I was pretty lucky because I bought, right there, right? I waited for it to retrace. I bought right there. In fact, this was the buy alert that I sent to my private Discord community where I added more Palantir initially at $8.73 on that day. And then as it went a bit higher, retraced back, I added a bit more at $9.47. So added more at an average price of $9.10 on that particular day, which was adding more to the position that I already had. Now, a word of caution, if you happen to be on social media, Discord or Instagram or Messenger or Telegram, I, Adam Khoo, would never ever send you a direct message. I would never send you a friend invite. I will never ask you to send me money to manage money for you, right? Because there are many people impersonating me on social media. So if any Adam Khoo contacts you, it is definitely a scammer. Please report it as a scam. Because the only way that I contact people is through my company, through my official channel, which is the website piranhaprofits.com. That is where all my courses and subscription services are, right? So the only way to get into my Discord private community is to enroll in one of my courses or my subscription officially, right? So we would never contact you directly for any such reason. Or the only way that you can contact me or we contact people is through our official email, support@piranhaprofits.com. All right, so do be very careful. Now, many people who have been following me for many, many years, or even my students, they would be scratching their head wondering, Adam, why would you buy Palantir? Because Palantir is a very, very different stock than one that I would normally buy. As you guys know, most of the stocks that I own are large companies that are hundreds of billions or trillions in market cap. Whereas Palantir is a relatively very small company with only $20 billion in market cap. And most of the companies that I own, they are already monopolies in the market. They've got a wide economic moat and they have got at least 5 to 10 years of consistent revenue growth, profit growth, and cash flow growth. Whereas Palantir doesn't have that kind of historic track record of profitability. So in fact, if you take a look at Palantir, you can see the last 5 years, yep, revenue has been growing very strongly, but they have not been profitable. And for me, usually I never ever buy unprofitable companies. So you may say, why are you buying this company? Have you gone insane? Right? So let me just explain, why I invested in Palantir, which is again very different from what I normally buy. You can see that their operating cash flow turned positive back in 2021. There was a slight dip in 2022, but they are free cash flow positive and their cash from operations is positive. The only thing that has not been positive yet was their net profit. But they had their first quarter of positive net profit last quarter, and this quarter is the second quarter of positive net profit. And again, Alex Karp, the CEO, has made a commitment that from now on, we are going to be profitable. So because of that, I think that Palantir is now transitioning to become a profitable tech company. But of course, it doesn't yet have that track record that I usually look for. So why, in this case, have I invested in Palantir? So Palantir is a stock which I consider as more of a speculative company because it doesn't have that historical track record yet. So it's more speculative. So usually I tend to avoid speculative companies because they are very, very risky. But I would invest in one like Palantir if there are a few conditions. Okay. Condition number one, I have to really believe in their product. That they've got a product that I believe is so unique that no one can replicate that product. And it's a product that eventually a huge number of customers would need. In this case, it would be enterprise customers. And it's a product that could be really game-changing. Okay. So that's the first condition that I would invest in something speculative. Now, there are many speculative stocks that I never bought, right? Like, I never bought Beyond Meat. I never bought Snowflake. I never bought Airbnb. I never bought Grab. So there are a lot of other stuff like, what's the other one? The Teladoc, right? So many of these unprofitable tech companies, I never dared to touch them because I felt that their product could be replaceable. Their product was not that unique. But for Palantir, I find their product is something that, there's no one else doing the same thing, and there's no other company that could easily replicate them. All right, so that's number one, right? The second reason I would invest in a speculative company is if they had no debt or very low debt. And one thing about Palantir is that they have got zero debt. Why? Because when you buy a company that's not established yet, right? They're still growing, you don't want much risk. And the biggest risk is if a company has got debt, because if they've got debt, they can't pay back their debt, they can go bust. But when a company has zero debt and they got a lot of cash, then it is relatively safe, right? It's really hard to go bust if you have got no debt. Okay. So what makes Palantir so unique? For those of you who have never heard about Palantir, Palantir is an artificial intelligence company. It's an AI company. Now, of course, now AI is the buzzword. Everyone is saying, hey, you've got to look at companies with AI because, yeah, AI is going to be revolutionary. It's going to be the next secular growth driver. Now, a lot of people, when they think about AI, they think about what, Microsoft or ChatGPT. A lot of people don't realize that Palantir is one of the original AI companies. They've been around now for over 20 years, and if you ask me, they are one of the leaders of AI and machine learning. I would put them in front of Microsoft and even in front of Alphabet and Google, all right? Now, but specifically, what do they really do? They are a big data analytics company. So what Palantir does is that they provide software. It's basically a software as a service company, right? They provide software that integrates huge volumes of data, whether it's photographs, spreadsheets, documents. So you just feed all this thing into the software, into a centralized platform, and it analyzes the data using AI and machine learning. And what the software then does is that it detects unusual patterns in large data sets in order to identify problems and to achieve operational outcomes. And it can be applied into any kind of enterprise. Now, Palantir actually first started about 20 years ago with only one customer. only one client, and their client was the CIA. In fact, the CIA was the initial government organization that helped to fund Palantir's growth. So they helped the CIA to track and capture terrorists, insurgents, and drug lords. In fact, it was through Palantir software that they found Osama bin Laden. It was through Palantir that the White House knew that Russia was going to invade Ukraine even before they invaded Ukraine. So Palantir is used a lot by the government agencies, CIA, NSA, FBI, the police force, they all use Palantir. And what happened a couple of years ago was Palantir decided to then offer their services to commercial enterprises, which are not the military, not the government, right? So today they work with, many of the Fortune 500 companies like Airbus, where Palantir helps Airbus to identify and respond quickly to manufacturing, accelerating production of the A350. All right, they work with Fiat Chrysler, helping to identify faults in car parts. They work with BP, British Petroleum, to help them to analyze drilling data to find out where to drill to get the highest production for oil. They work with JP Morgan, helping JP Morgan to identify rogue traders and rogue employees. All right, so it's a really, really powerful software that is used by enterprises. So Palantir software is a data operating system that again collates and processes all incoming data streams simultaneously across the whole organization. All right, and their AI command and control system oversees the whole enterprise, where it helps the company to understand customers, to manage supply chain, okay, growth in different geographies, and to keep track of competition gaining market share. And very recently, they've got a product that helps companies to immediately find all the ways to increase their profit margins. Now, if I can use an analogy, to me, Palantir is like Skynet. If you guys watched Terminator many years ago, it's like plugging in Skynet to your organization, and it kind of like helps you to control your whole organization to find faults and to increase profit margins, and it's pretty mind-blowing stuff. But of course, it's kind of like not the evil version of Skynet, right? It's kind of like the good version of Skynet. Now, for those of you who are younger viewers who don't know what a Terminator is, and you're watching like Iron Man, well, it's kind of like having Jarvis controlling, helping you to manage your whole organization. So like I said earlier on, what gets me interested into this more speculative company is the fact that they've got a product, a software that is pretty unique. I wouldn't say it's a wide mode company yet. I would still say it's a narrow mode company, but it could easily transition to a wide mode in the next couple of years. So Palantir itself, if you ask who's their competitor, they don't really have a competitor. There's no single true competitor of Palantir because there's no other company that has a software that can do what they do, right? Now, some people have mentioned companies like Alterax, which is ticker symbol AYX, Cognizant, ticker symbol CTSH, or Splunk, that are competitors of Palantir. Well, not really, because these companies, they only compete on one or two features, but they don't have the full big data service package like Palantir to perform all the tasks that Palantir can do. So for example, AYX is a company that competes with Palantir in data preparation. That's it. They just prepare the data, They can do the rest. Or Cognizant, a company that competes in data engineering and AI. But again, only one part of their business. Splunk is a company that helps clients take in and visualize data. However, Splunk focuses on machine-generated data, whereas Palantir is more diverse in the data sources it can take in. It can take in, again, both structured and unstructured data. Like, again, it can just look at pictures and get information from pictures. It can look at spreadsheets. It can look at Word documents, all kinds of things. Okay. Now, the only thing, I've been invested in Palantir for a while, all right? I've been holding the shares for a while. And the only thing that I felt uncomfortable with about the company was their high stock-based compensation. Like I said, for Palantir, they have already been cash flow positive for for 2 years, but their profit was negative. So why? Why are they generating positive cash flow, but their profit is negative? Because of high stock-based compensation. So they were paying their staff by giving them shares. So by giving them shares, it doesn't reduce their cash flow. That's why they've got good cash flow, but it reduces their profits because stock-based compensation is still expensed away. So that's the one thing I didn't like about it, right? So one reason why I'm beginning to be more bullish on the stock is because their SBC, stock-based compensation, has been declining. They have consciously started to reduce their stock-based compensation. In fact, it has been declining for 7 quarters and it's on track to decline further. To give you an example, their total SBC in 2021 was $778 million. Right? In 2022, $548 million. And then for the fourth quarter last year, it was $129. And first quarter this year, it's cut to $140 million. So they've been cutting it pretty drastically. So I think that the moment they can get their SBC a lot lower down, they can be extremely profitable. Now, the stock price has actually been kind of like going nowhere, been consolidating for, again, almost a year right now. But this could be an early sign of the price beginning to break out of this consolidation pattern. Now, it hasn't yet broken out. You can see it, like I said, there's a strong level of resistance over here. But we do see a change in the trend as the moving averages start sloping up. So I think if we can break above that $10.31 level decisively, we could see a very strong new uptrend in the stock. So what has changed? What created this surge in the price recently? Well, like I said, it was their recent earnings conference call and their earnings result. Here's a summary of some of the game-changing developments. So the first thing that has been game-changing is the fact that they are now transitioning into a profitable company after being not profitable for quite a number of years. So again, they have delivered 2 quarters of consecutive profits, and the CEO has kind of like committed that from now henceforth we will be profitable. So that's the first great thing. Now, why is that significant? Very simple, because once a company can show consistent profitability and they are a large cap company above 10 billion, which they will then be included into the S&P 500. So if Palantir can continue to deliver profits for the rest of the year, high chance they will be included into the S&P 500. Now, the moment Palantir gets into the S&P 500, a lot of institutions and retail investors will have no choice but to buy Palantir. They have to buy Palantir. Why? Because once a company is in the S&P 500 and people buy ETFs and they buy things that track the index, or these ETFs, then these funds will have to buy Palantir since it's part of the S&P. So that will create a lot of large buying that would propel the stock much higher. The third thing that I think was pretty exciting was that Palantir launched recently a new product, which is AIP. AIP is their artificial intelligence platform. And Carp said that the demand for AIP has been through the roof, right? It's been larger than anything he has seen in the last 20 years. So they are just beginning to roll this out. Huge demand for their AIP platform. So what's this AIP platform? It's the system itself is designed to integrate large language models like your ChatGPT and Google's Bard, right, into privately operated networks. So that's the difference. Now, you guys know that when you use ChatGPT, for example, one of the concerns is the reliability of the data, right? Some of the data is not reliable because it kind of like gets data from all over the shop, okay? Now, what's different about Palantir's AI platform is that it will allow commercial and government sectors to use large language models, which are these chat AI bots, but based on their own private data sets. And you'll be available to select customers this month. So it's like a company having their own private ChatGPT that's able to extract and use data from within their organization. It's like, again, having that Skynet or that Jarvis control your organization for you. And of course, you are still in control, right? So Palantir is definitely positioned to be one of the largest winners in AI on the enterprise software side. So we know that AI will be the game changer for the next 10 or 20 years. Palantir is going to be one of the winners in this. And I won't be surprised if they could be the most important software company behind Microsoft in the future. Now, again, this is not overnight. This is not 6 months. It's not 1 year. It's not 2 years. We're looking 5, 10 years ahead. So to me, like I said, to me, it's not a short-term trade. It's a long-term investment. Oh, by the way, and Palantir has partnered with Microsoft, specifically their Azure Cloud Scale Analytics, to bring Palantir software to the larger enterprise market. So how big could Palantir get? Well, we could compare Palantir's market cap with other software as a service company. Again, there's no direct competitor with Palantir because their product is so unique, but we can look at other companies that provide software to enterprises. We could look at Microsoft, we can look at Salesforce, Adobe. These are all other kind of software companies that, again, provide software to enterprises. Now, I won't use Microsoft as a comparison because Microsoft, does a lot other stuff as well. But let's take a look at companies like Adobe, for example. Could Palantir be like an Adobe in the future? I think very, very high chance. But of course, with a different angle, right, to the software. Now, if you look at Adobe, what's their market cap? Their market value is $151 billion. Now, this is after Adobe has dropped a lot. Right? It was a lot higher, right? So Adobe's going back up there. But right now, Adobe's at $151 billion. And their sales revenue is $18 billion. Now, compare that with Palantir. Palantir's sales revenue is still very, very small. They're still a small company. They have not grown big yet, right? So it's still in the early stages. Palantir's sales is only at 1.9 billion. Not even 2 billion, right? And their current market cap is only 20 billion. So in the next couple of years, if they get to Adobe's sales revenue and market cap from 20 billion to 151 billion, that's a lot of upside, right? Now, how about Salesforce, which is another good comparison because Salesforce, again, software for enterprises, right? Salesforce sales is 31 billion and their market cap is 193 billion. Could Palantir be the next Salesforce? Not in customer relationship management, but again in big data analytics. Yeah, most definitely, right? So again, from 20 billion to 193 billion, that's almost 10x. That could be a 10x on the stock price. All right. Now look at ServiceNow. ServiceNow is still a relatively young company. So ServiceNow is not mature like Adobe or Microsoft or Salesforce. ServiceNow is getting there. By the way, I own ServiceNow as well. I own all these companies, by the way. I own all these software companies, right? And ServiceNow is at 91 billion market cap, right? Palantir, again, only at 20 billion market cap. So it's still relatively very small. So could the stock 5x and 10x from here? I think it's very, very possible. But like I said, it's not overnight. It will not go up tomorrow, next week. It's over several years. And again, in the short term, could the stock price still come down temporarily? Of course, because in the short term, the price is hitting, like I said, a level of resistance, right? And if you can't break that resistance, we could see a retracement back down to maybe even $9 or 8 plus. Now, if that happens, guess what? I'm gonna buy more shares, right? Okay. Now, but just bear this in mind again, like I said, this is not a recommendation to buy shares. I'm not asking you to buy these shares. I'm just telling you why I invested in it. But having said that, remember that diversification is very, very important. I've got a portfolio of many great companies. So no matter how much I love Palantir, how great it is still a speculative business versus my other mature companies. So I'm only going to build a position of maximum about 2.5% allocation to my portfolio maximum. All right, so it's all about diversification. So the trouble with some people, they think, oh, this is a great company, I'm going to put my life savings. No, that's bloody stupid, okay? Never put your life savings into anything. In fact, your life savings you should divide into real estate, stocks and bonds. In fact, stock investing should be one part of your wealth management. And within stocks, you have to diversify into many great companies. And one company just have an allocation. That's the proper way of investing. So hope you enjoyed it, and may the markets be with you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you want to catch my latest videos, click on the subscribe button right now. Click on the bell so you get instant notifications once I upload my latest video. If you want to check out my online courses, go to piranhaprofits.com. We're going to learn how to invest and how to trade the financial markets and create an income from all around the world. If you want to join my live Wealth Academy program, go on to wealthacademyglobal.com and find out more about how you can learn investing and trading live online. This is Adam Khoo, and may the markets be with you.